when it comes to the strength and the sustainability of decision, not just in nomenclature, not just in the rants and the noise making, but in constructive and alternative creating measures where people would say, oh, if party A, B, C is not functioning well, the next election time will change to party E, F, whatever. So that's exactly what this program tends to do. And then, like I said, we do this every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. Wow. We also stream this program live on all our social media platforms. So you can go on facebook.com/mainland983fm to join us. You have to follow us and also keep your notifications alive so that you get to see our updates. Also on X, formerly Twitter, mainland983, on YouTube and Instagram, mainland98.3fm. There's so much to talk about on the show today. Of course, I don't do this alone. I have Said Fuad with me in the studio, and we have a guest, well, a familiar guest. Let me put it this way. He's making his debut on any of our shows for the first time in 2024. So welcome, Mr. Matthew Okodoa. It will be happening in Ondo, and then that was signed, a resolution rather, by the APC National Working Committee of those states. Don't forget also that the twists and tensions by fractionals that resign are
there to talk politics, level of insecurity in the country. That passed by bandits, or let's just say by terrorists. Some of them losing their lives. We have, family members who are losing children to be so happy about. But we have to continue to keep hope alive, restore security back to sanity. Let us say sanity to Abuja, and by extension, the residents of Ibadan. In the morning, Sandra was on the phone with one or two residents that they had kept dynamite. But there are also people who are saying that, look, we need to check this and recheck this so that we are not the government as to what really happened in Owo. And people felt that the governor should have at least waited a bit. SQ efforts are ongoing. People have still been removed from, should be checked and rechecked because some of them are dilapidated. There are still heavy cracks on some of those buildings. So
the families of the kidnapped in Abuja, unfortunately, the head of that family happens to be a graduate of the same university I attended. So it bothers me because if you kidnap and then you do public fundraising, you're literally sending the wrong signal to the people and say, you know what, kidnap again. They will ask for the public for fund and the public will drop it. Mr. Matthew Okodoa, good to see you again. And again, congratulations for everything good. 2024 started really well for you. I'm talking about the wedding of your son. Amazing time. You're welcome to the show today.
Thank you very much.
So, of course, Mr. Matthew Okodoa will be joining us into the conversation, especially if we have to digress a little bit to do politics. Sources, everything. So what signal do you get when a governor, and this is not just about Seyi Makinde, we've heard from Zamfara State Governor when Bello Matawalle was in office, we've heard from the former governor of even Kaduna State. Of course, we know what is going on the plateau in respect to resource control and all of that. What do you make of when a governor comes out to say these are activities of illegal miners? Talk to us about that.
It's not just what Makinde said or what any governor said. The same thing happens to what the Minister for Solid Minerals also said. That whatever you are seeing is being carried out by illegal miners. What we have now, the challenge we have is that we don't have a government. We have people in government, but not a government. When you have a government rises. A government is a colossus. It rises above every individual. Individual fears government, but here government fears some individuals. These people behind this mining, call it legal mining, they are bigger. They look bigger than the government. So government cannot chase them. Government cannot arrest them. Government cannot do anything about them. What we are likely to see in this case is noise. In the next 2-3 months, the thing fades out. So the people in government are not in charge of anything. But these quote illegal miners are not. They are not on their own. They are sponsored by bigger individuals, and the government knows them. There's no way. I mean, mining is not like passing through a path in the night. Where you are, people see it. You use dynamite. You use trucks and lorries. You dig.
You move out.
You excavate, and the rest of them. And government said it doesn't see them, call them illegal. Let them tell us which of the illegal miners that have been arrested. None. But they classify them as illegal miners because they are not in charge. The government is not in charge. The people in government are not in charge. The same thing with security. They are not in charge. And there's a nexus between this illegal mining and insecurity.
Sure.
Because these illegal miners want to protect themselves, I'm talking of the sponsors now, want to protect themselves, protect the investment, protect everything. And then they have a kind of informal army. Maybe not with uniform. Arm them. So in the process, you now have armed people who are not on official duty. That outside government circles we have illegal people. How do you come about dynamite to that extent? When I had it last night, somebody said, please call your in-laws in Ibadan, whether, whatever. When they described the extent, my fear at first was that it could be like what happened in Lagos some years ago. Maybe the Ojo barracks, maybe their armory is exploding. We have almost 30 houses across the place affected. And that dynamite is not, how do you put it now? It's not a child's play. That must be a professional dynamite.
Now, side forward. Lastly on this, you just choose to touch it. I mean, since that's what is on everybody's faces right now. And a lot of people have called for not just statement by the government, but persecuting these individuals. We have a thing with nomenclatures in this country. We say they are herdsmen, they are terrorists, they are bandits, they are illegal miners, they are this, they are that. But the most important thing is that these people are individuals. They are not spirits. They don't disappear to reappear. They walk to this mining site. I've stayed in a space where you travel for kilometers and then you see spaces occupied by people mining in broad daylight, and these are open roads leading to the airport, leading to the city center. So it's not like they do these things behind unguarded territories as such. Do you think the government is really intentional about this conversation of checking who is mining illegally? Somebody had come up with the idea of the privileges that, in quote, foreigners enjoy in this country. People coming under the disguise of so many interventions or loans, building infrastructures for you. They identify where these resources are centered, and they move into it. What should be the next line of action for government? Whatever happens in your states, I hope it's not going to be one of those and they will move on. What do you think should be the most important thing for government right now, Said?
Well, it's not just tackling illegal mining that the government has not been intentional about. The government has not been intentional about so many things, and that's why I want to agree with Mr. Matthew Kodwa this afternoon that we just have people in government. We don't really have a government, because again, having people in government means that, look, there's no coordination, there's nothing intentional, there's no direction per se, because we're not the only nation that is faced with challenges like this, but how do you respond? How do you take care of these things? How do you manage it? What are the ideas? How do you follow it through? That's what matters now. like you said, illegal mining is not done by ghosts and spirits. These are people that live within the communities, and illegal mining is not even something you do that is difficult to discover.
In the dark.
You know,
people
in the
dig
dark.
over distance.
Something in the dark.
You can't even mine in the dark
People,
like that.
people
You know,
mine from communities into another
look,
community.
I'm sure you've heard the stories of Zamfara. You know, the conspiracy of a number of foreign nationals, local nationals, and our political class. You know, when people tell you the story of Zamfara, you know that, look, it's they know these people. They know the people behind these things. You know, even if you listen to Mr. Dele Alake, you know, he was saying that, look, the reality is that, look, illegal mining has become a big business.
They will come after you.
And
Who are you coming after?
You know, before you come after somebody, you
must
know
know
them.
the
It means you know them. You know these mining sites. You know, so that's why people keep asking the question: are there people that are bigger than
the government?
The government in this country? Are there people that do we have the untouchables in Nigeria? You know, because when it comes to insecurity, it's the same question people are asking. When it comes to illegal mining, the same thing. And a host of other things that is holding the country back, the prosperity of Nigeria back. So, you know, when the governor came, you know, because the statement of the governor came just some few hours or even minutes after the issue.
Yeah.
Because it happened around 7:40 something.
And the governor was on there by 8:32.
To say that, look, this was derived from illegal miners. And people are like,
how did you know that?
because at that time the dust was still heavy, people were still scampering for safety.
See their faces, their body full of
And
dust.
so people thought that, oh, was there an intel already on the activities of these people for the governor to have been able to pick what had happened
Because
immediately?
it was specific.
He was very direct about what had happened. He said, look, these were dynamites that had been kept by illegal miners. And people were like, oh, so that means there was an intel. It's not
How
as
did
if-
you do?
How did so again, you know, I mean, we are not in a very good place, really. And again, I'm going to repeat what Mr. Okodo has just said. We don't have a government. You just
only
have
have
people
people
in
in
government.
government.
Unfortunately, when you have people in government without having a government, there's no commitment. There are no intentions towards solving any problem. It's just motion without movement.
Exactly.
Well,
Keep rotating.
I'm sure this is not even new to any one of us. I mean, we've seen systems where members of the cabinet are not even talking to each other. So how do you want to share ideas? How do
I don't know.
Ministers-
Did you see a situation where the presidency sent the name of somebody to the Senate for confirmation? And in the same Senate, in the same presidency, a letter went to the Senate saying that, look, the person
Don't
is
confirm
under
this
don't
person.
the same presidency.
the same cabinet.
So is that not people in government? Is that a government?
I just hope we find our way around this, and then hopefully we don't get to that point where we say it's one of those things and the government will look into it. And then so let's get straight up into the crux of the conversation today. And for the lives that have been lost in the unfortunate explosion in Oyo State last night, and I really hope that the God would grant those families the fortitude to bear the loss. It's the start of the year. A lot of things are going on, and for those ones that are still being treated, I hope that
Those that have lost their properties too, because
I mean, and this is a system where nobody compensates you for anything. Your house is gone. It's gone.
most likely.
And now they'll be asking you, where is your approved plan?
Let's just say awful.
The house that existed before.
But I
you
just
can-
think that, you know, going forward, we need to check some of these buildings so that we
Exactly.
don't have more casualties. A lot of those buildings are heavily damaged.
They would
Some-
have lost their integrity by now.
Integrity.
I'm just trying to imagine the graffiti of or the quantity of the explosive that could bring up
Exactly
such
what
a
I'm saying. I
devastating
thought, in
effect
fact, when I
in
heard
a
of this,
residential
that area,
area.
the first thing I thought was that maybe Amory
Yes.
is
Like
exploding.
the one that happened in
unfortunate one in
Yes.
2001.
One, yeah.
Yes, that's what my fear was. But when I saw the governor say,
and you know, I said it again this month before we move on this particular issue of PME. We're looking at Oyo State now. We've had explosions in different parts of the country that have taken lives. I remember one happened in Barua and Opaja. There was one that happened in Mushin.
Yes.
And it was gas plant and all of that. I'm also worried as to the safety issues around having some of these things in residential area. This is an illegal deposit in Ibadan. But look, before our very eyes, we now have people having gas businesses everywhere.
in residential areas.
In residential
Between
areas.
two houses.
Not just residential, densely
Densely
populated
populated
residential
areas.
Two
areas.
houses.
You know, so in a shop, somebody, look, we are not saying
And
we
you
should not.
load cylinders and you close and you
Those
go
are
home.
those are explosives.
Yes, they
Okay,
are on their own. Yes.
on their own. If a gas cylinder explodes, it's as good as a bomb.
A bomb, yes.
And we've in Badagry, I think about 4 people died right in front of the shop. There was an explosion. We're not saying people should not do businesses, but where are the safety
Measures.
measures?
Yes.
You know, you have the Lagos State Safety Commission, you have the Fire Commission. Look, these are the things they should check. Not until something happens and then we are
And they will
reactive.
rush.
Because I'm saying that I feel concerned that we now have gas selling shops in residential area. It's so bad that sometimes the next shop they are frying something or they are selling food.
And at the back of the gas plant, there's a fuel station.
And these are things that we are not seeing
And
everywhere.
the house behind it,
The
they
man
don't
is
care what
cooking.
it is cooking.
And there's
Not minding what is on the other side of the place.
look, a proper gas plant in a proper petrol station, you even discover that on the gas storage, they pour water.
Steady.
Yes,
Steady.
exactly.
There's a
Steady.
water.
To reduce the pressure.
But here,
the heat,
we are-
yes.
because again, we are now in the dry season. There's so much heat now. In most of these shops, these gas cylinders are locked up there. Look, I just think that we are not serious really when it comes to safety.
Well, I think Mr. Matthew Okodua's statement just summarized
resonating,
everything that is going wrong here. And when you have such system, and when you have a government that is reactive rather than being proactive, is a manifestation of the fact that you only have people in government. There's no government, because if you have a government, they will be proactive enough to anticipate that, oh, this area, we approved this filling station 7 years ago. There were just 2 houses here. Now there are like 10 houses. Is it that we relocate the filling station somewhere else?
Or we stop people from building close to the station.
Exactly. It's as simple as that. Well, let's leave that. In case you're just tuning in, you're live on Mainland 98.3 FM. It's the Midweek Politics. We get to do this every Wednesday, 1 to 3 p.m. Matthew Okodua joined me on the show today, but of course, I always do this with Aside Fuad. Well, you can stream us live on our social media platforms, facebook.com/mainland 98.3 FM. So let's get straight up into it. I will be taking a break, and I will play you the voice of Alhaji Buba Galadima. This will take us back into some of the maybe when you listen to it, what he's saying or what he said, then you have an idea of what we're coming back to talk about. Don't go nowhere. And on the turn of 12 o'clock, I think, we'll open the phone line so that I can join the conversation. This program runs from 1 to 3 p.m. So on the turn of 2 o'clock, I would open the phone lines for you to join the conversation. You're live here. The next voice you get here is the voice of Alhaji Buba Galadima talking about Justice Supreme Court.
More difficult.
The general elections in 2023 have created conversations and consequences that will live with us for years to come. From the executive to the judiciary, legislature, media, and the people, organized labor, probing, and interrogation.
I see the greater objective for the party. And let me tell you, I've told the PDP in some locations that, gentlemen, be careful. Better men have founded parties that have gone into oblivion. Where's the party of Awolowo? Where's the party of Azikwe? Where's PRP of Rimi? Political parties must be nurtured, they must be reinvented, they must be true
Join
to their own
Okweyemi Akinyode and Said Fuad on Midweek Politics every Wednesday, 1 to 3 p.m. on Mainland 98.3 FM for thought-provoking conversations, voices from the top, engaging interviews, in-depth analysis on all matters around politics, policies, and governance. Midweek Politics on Mainland 98.3 FM, bringing the right perspectives to everything politics.
I'm one person that never gave hope, never gave in that we would lose Kano. No, I never had any fear, except I had an anxiety, but not fear. Well, the anxiety is that I know how those in authority were put in a tight corner by their subordinates who always drum that we must take Kano by force. They didn't understand democracy. Yes, not at every level. Let me first congratulate the Supreme Court for restoring the honor, dignity of the judiciary. The congratulation is not for ANPP or ABBA. It is for the Supreme Court. If they had ruled otherwise, they could have been stoned on the streets of Nigeria, and nobody could have been able to ride a car with the inscription of Supreme Court of Nigeria. There would have been a total loss of confidence on the judiciary. And I don't think anybody would ever dream of going to the court to seek for redress. Because the court of public opinion all over the world, if I show you my telephone, suggests that Abba's victory, there was in the whole of 2023 election, the only place where election took place was Kano. And there was nothing the APC didn't do to win Kano. And I will swear by the Quran, as I sit before you, that a former senator, now APC chieftain in Kano told me that the votes they got is less than 200,000. I swear by the Quran.
But what happened? Because
And I know an INEC man who told me that APC never went into election in Kano to contest, but to conquer, and that they have promised every electoral officer at the polling unit that if you spoil the votes of the box, you will have 1 million naira. That is why there was overvoting. That was why there was violence. That was why there was everything. Despite all this, they recorded over 800,000 votes. They didn't get that. They participated, and I believe in him. I know him. You don't know him. We've been in this game for a long time to know what is right and what is wrong. They should know that members of the tribunal arrived to Kano in the afternoon to give judgment the following day. They were picked from Kano by unknown people, put into the plane and brought to Abuja, and they held a Zoom judgment session from somebody's private house or office. And you know for sure that the Court of Appeal disgraced itself by what they have done, because their judgment was to give up by judgment, but they did what they did, and it was deliberate, because such learned men, after giving that judgment, pronouncing that judgment, they didn't release the certified copy of that judgment until after 3 or 4 days. You think they wouldn't have detected those mistakes? Well, you didn't show the critical areas for the world to see that this is just a scanty picture of where Abba went through. Abba, he has not yet arrived at his house in Kano. It is. If Konkoso says, go and fall into fire, I've just seen you drilling my friend on the issue of trust and morality. They trust him to portray Konkoso in a bad light, and they are using them. But they had a test of their own pill. They went to court. Can you know where? They went to court in Anambra, where the party was born, in Oka, and challenged the authenticity of the leadership of the NNPP. Do you know what the judge ruled? If they ever mention that, they will find themselves in Kirikiri. Have you heard about them now? They took 300 million from somebody in APC. And those people, they are now even chasing individual NNPP people, gubernatorial candidates and others, promising them heaven and earth to show the president that, look, we are dismantling Konkoso structures. If they open their mouth and say they are members of the NNPP, according to the court, they should be sent to prison. He's still the leader of the party. And I want the people to understand something. Konkoso is being called Madugu before he joined even PDP. He was also called
When your whole world comes crashing down, is look up. Assemble the team. It's showtime. Brains, waking up.
What'd you have for breakfast? We are the sound of Lagos, and this is Mainland 98.3 FM.
You didn't see that coming, did you?
There is something missing in the world.
Okay, welcome back to Midweek Politics, live on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. Well, this show started off at 1 o'clock, and we'll be saying our goodbyes by 3 p.m. So we've got about 1 hour, 30 minutes more to do justice to everything political on this space. And in case you just tune in, well, we just used the first part of the show to talk about the concerns of issues, security, especially on the back of the unfortunate incident that happened in Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State, last night. Well, and we're still following and we're still monitoring developments in that state, and hopefully the story will not change in terms of the casualties and in terms of other people that have been rushed to the hospital. You need to give a lot of credit to Nigerians on that. Last night there was a strong rally on social media for people to go to nearby hospitals to ask if people need blood. I will continue to say this, Matthew Okodo aside, for Nigerians are amazing people when we need to be amazing. Nigerians would rise up when the need comes, and sometimes you ask ourselves, how bad have we been unblessed? I don't want to use the word cursed with leadership. And again, it boils down to our selective process. How do our leaders even emerge in the first place? I guess that's the topic for another day. We listen to the voice of Alhaji Buba Galadima, And there were a lot of strong statements that he gave in that interview. We'll start from maybe the first part of the interview, where he talked about the fact that the Kano judgment have restored integrity of the judiciary. Now that's where we're going to start this conversation from. He also talked about the fact that the APC did not go into the election to win, but to conquer. We'll break all of that down. Matthew Okudua. Before 6th of September 2023, where the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal gave a judgment upholding the election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, there were a lot of strong pressure on the judiciary. There was the hashtag Eye on the Judiciary. There were protests. There were billboards sponsored across the country. And to the point that even the chairman of seat of benchers, Justice Mary Odili, had to come out to say that whatever happens in the next few days in that judgment, take it as such. That statement was also misinterpreted. The judgment came. There was an appeal again. It still upheld the initial judgment. And from then on, almost every single judgment is being checked with relative sentiments. This is what I mean. If this one favors you, democracy is not at risk. Yeah. Democracy is working. Yeah. If it doesn't favor you, democracy is in danger. But collectively, it looks like the Supreme Court judgment last week that upheld that maintained the status quo in Kano, Plateau, Bauchi, Ebonyi, Lagos, seems to align with some people's acceptance of what the judiciary should be like. But with what you heard Alhaji Buba Galadima said, how much integrity?
Let's start from the point of restored. Said the judgment restored integrity of the judiciary, which is saying the integrity of the judiciary has been
taken away,
has been badly, negatively affected by some judgment delivered in the past. And that's also saying that the people on the street, I mean the ordinary Nigerian, they have an idea of what a judgment should look like. But that doesn't mean the court should follow, because there are determinants of judgments. But there are some at times that look so glaring. When the judge tries to find a solution, for instance, to cover up an offense like forgery, like perjury, when it should have been a direct thing, that did you forge this signature? Yes. Without looking at other aspects of it, what they call technicalities now, people begin to come that this technical approach is actually purchased. So that is why people look at the judiciary as not very independent. Take a look at what Oshomole said in time past, that no matter the offense you commit, when you are in APC, you are forgiven. That's also showing that judiciary or no judiciary, once you are in APC, your offense is covered. So people have so many reasons to doubt the integrity of the judiciary. But because of these fewer cases now and the agitation in the community, I think this time around the judiciary sat down, whether collectively or they by individual deliver that judgment. Look at the Plateau one. The Supreme Court lambasted this appeal court. That there have been several instances and several judgments of the Supreme Court. Party affair. So I remember just you mentioned about the presidential the tribunal. They berated the PDP and called them meddlesome interlopers because this is party matter. And to the extent that even if you are a party member, but you do not contest that election, you cannot even challenge it. So why going now and you uphold that kind of thing in your court? You understand? And so now again, people will not look at it as okay. Supreme Court lambasted appeal court, which means appeal court actually were motivated somehow to do what they did. Assumptions, and assumptions can be very powerful, right or wrong.
Now, side forward, I'm always very particular about how people imagine judicial processes in their minds. Like I would always say, the way the judiciary works in your head is not the way it works on paper. Is a system of black and white. It's not a Father Christmas that dashes out judgment. But again, when the conversation around integrity comes through, I remember the speech of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on 29th of May. He promised to bring in reforms to the judiciary, and a lot of people have asked, does the president have the right to want to reform the judiciary, where there's been constant question around, who approves the Supreme Court judges, who recommends? Of course, it's the Judicial Council, we know, but in between that period, you cannot rule out whatever assumptions.
The president will still have to submit the names.
Exactly. You have to do that. You also look at the appointment of the chairman of INEC. It's almost like, putting the referee in your own match, especially in an election you are participating in. You look at all of that. How essential is the issue of restoring the integrity of the judiciary? Now, you put what Buba Galadima said to one side, or maybe just hold it in one hand, but he's not the first person to come out to say that. For the president to even say there will be reforms in the judiciary, that means there are loopholes and there are lacunas that people are exploiting. How essential is this almighty reforms that we're talking about in the judiciary, and where should it come from?
Well, again, when it comes to the integrity of the judiciary, again, we can have this conversation around what people think the judgment should be. Severally you had the Justice Ariwola who keeps saying that, look, judges don't work with public sentiments, blah blah blah, and all of that. So I agree that the law is the law. Sometimes it's not about public sentiment and all of that. But again, the law is not rocket science. You don't have to be a lawyer sometimes to understand simple things and simple matters of law. Even rocket science people study it and understand it. How much more is law? And why people are worried and keep questioning the integrity of the judiciary is that, look, on a similar matter, when you keep having inconsistencies, you can't fault people's call to begin to check the integrity of the judiciary. Like we have said, even in the Supreme Court judgment, look at what they said. That, look, on a plethora of cases, we have given precedence to things like this. Like Mr. Kudwa just said, that, look, if it's a party matter, it's a completely a pre-election matter. It is only in Plateau, for example, that I got appeal court judges saying that a case can be both pre-election and post-election. How can something be pre and post at the same time? I've never heard of that kind of judgment before, that a matter will be both pre and post. And so on that basis, look at what has happened. There's still a mess in Plateau that we are here to clear.
Bigger one.
As we speak, there's what you can call a political log jam and a political quagmire that we are dealing with in Plateau State now, because the State Assembly has its own issues. A lot of the legislators that lost their seat because of the miscarriage of justice that has now been interpreted by the Supreme Court are saying that, look, it is unfair on them. Even Justice Okoro of the Supreme Court said it, that, look, it's unfair that a lot of these legislators in Plateau State have lost their seat because of
what you did,
what you guys did at the level of the appeal court. That if you follow precedent, this was supposed to be a very simple matter for you to deal with. Now we are in this place. Would you blame Nigerians who are now saying that, look, when the Presidential Election Tribunal ruled, even the Supreme Court, on the case of the nomination of Shettima, it was clear the Supreme Court was so unambiguous. Even the appeal court was unambiguous on Shettima's issue. That, look, it's completely a pre-election matter, and you should not even bring it on any tribunal case that's dealing with election. So, where did they get it wrong with Plateau State, for example? How did they get it wrong?
Oh, where the justice is not in Nigeria.
And the issue of inter-party issue did not only happen in Plateau State. It was the same issue that was going to affect even in Kano, where they were saying that, look,
Abba was not a member of
and that he forged the party. And I said that, look, you can't bring these matters into an election matter. When elections have been concluded, you can't go back to how someone was nominated.
Exactly.
And then you bring it and then you begin to argue it. It's even made worse when the person challenging that nomination is not even a member of the party.
It's not a member of the party.
And not just a member, did not even participate in the election. So, you cannot blame Nigerians who are beginning to doubt the integrity of the judiciary. And it is because of the inconsistencies. Whether we like it or not, the judiciary is an integral part of our democracy. It is supposed to be the last hope of the common man. When every other thing fails, the court is supposed to interpret the law and restore confidence again back to our system. But when the courts and the judiciary become so inconsistent, then
it gives a lot of people.
Look at what happened in Kano when what was read is at variance with the CTC document. Okay, how do you explain that now? And they said it was, so look, the reality is that the reforms would have to come from a lot of political will of our leaders. The president has a role. It can set up the legal framework. When I say legal framework, it sets it on an agenda as a priority for him that, look, I'm going to have a judiciary that can work independently. And all of these things, again, Okoyemi, it's about the legacy the president intends to leave behind. If he still wants to be the leader that would have the capacity to be able to tinker with the decisions of the court, well, that would be his legacy.
That's his business.
But if he wants to be a leader that will say, look, I left strong institutions. Today we keep talking about the United States and all of that. Look, Okoyemi, there are some leaders that made the ultimate sacrifice
Yes.
to ensure that no matter who becomes the president of the U.S.,
The Constitution is sacrosanct.
Is sacrosanct, and there are institutions to take care of your shenanigans. Look at what they are doing with Donald Trump now. Look, George Washington, Jefferson, they are no more, but their legacies outlive them. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu now has an opportunity to begin to think of the legacies that will come. Look, the maximum is 8 years. After 8 years, somebody else become president. But what will be the legacy he will be leaving behind after his presidency? So,
well, talking of legacy, there was a book launch in Abuja yesterday. A book that was written by the one of the former media aides to the former president Muhammadu Buhari, that's Mr. Femi Adesina, chronicling the 8 years of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, and it generated a lot of conversation on the social media. I'm smiling because I have my reasons for smiling, but let's put that to one side. We'll still talk about the issue of this Kano, but after due consultation with the Edo State APC stakeholders, the National Working Committee has approved direct primaries as the mode of election to be used to produce the governorship candidate of the party for the state.
That's APC in Edo State.
That's APC in Edo State. And this was replica of what happened in Ekiti State that produced Governor Abiodun Yebanji. And in record, somebody will tell you that that's one of the freest and the cleanest election we've had in this country in a very long time. The PDP didn't even come second. It was the former governor on the platform of SDP, Chief Shegun, that came second in that election. But I want to come to you, Mr. Matthew Okoda. Let's look at this real quick. In a situation where you have about maybe 18 people jostling for the tickets of the APC in Edo State at the moment. In fact, there are even words that the current deputy governor, Comrade Philip Shuaibu, may leave the PDP and go back to the APC. There also talks about that Ise Iyamo had been meeting with the current senator from Edo North Senatorial District, the former NLC chairman and former governor of the state. In fact, former national chairman of the APC, Comrade Adams Oshiomhole. There's been a lot of meeting and consultations. But before we even talk about the mode of primaries, Edo State has now enjoyed the very best of everything with the potentials of that state. There's been constant issues of courts, breaking down the security barricade that the governor is trying to build. How vital would that election be, that off-cycle election be for Edo State in terms of transformation, development, reaching the peak of the potentials of that state?
Let me just say it this way. The governor's second term, which is ending this year, is slightly better than his first term. That's because he's working for the success, for his success and for the success of his successor in his party. Lately, when I say lately, in another 1 year back now, he's been very active in all sections, and he's beginning to have some good pass marks. But the question will be, who is the successor, or who is the likely successor? Let me tell you, whether APC or PDP, Edo people don't mind, they don't care. You understand? They want to look at who is this successor, who is the likely successor, what are his antecedents, what is he able to do, what has he done before in the past. So you're going to find a situation where the election as it could be, if APC, if the two parties actually work hard at nominating people who the people candidates that the people perceive to be very, very good, is going to be very tough. But the problem with parties here is nobody look at candidates from the people's point of view. They look at it from the Godfather's point of view. That's why in most cases the good person never emerges. It is the wrong person who is in the good books of the political godfather that emerges, And at the end of the day, they have their way of silencing other candidates who were supposed to come. They're agitating now. There's so much agitation. Don't impose this. Don't impose this.
Even the current deputy governor come out to say the governor is disappointed.
But after the primaries, you never hear those things. You never hear those.
Everybody were aligned.
Everybody were aligned. Yeah, that is it. You are forced to vote for the person you never liked. That is the problem.
How faulty of a system is that? Now, I think we made mention of this briefly, but let's come back to it. A lot of people had questioned the whole idea of delegates choosing. I mean, you have like 4,000 people choosing who over 200 million people will vote for as the president. You also look at the delegate, the primaries at the state level and all of that. Side forward, I've been privileged enough to observe and monitor and report some of the electoral processes we have in this country across board, across different political parties. And one thing is sure, motivation going into those primaries. What is motivating the people? Is it tribe? Oh, is my tribal person? It is our turn. In fact, in Edo State at the moment, there are a lot of coalition of interest groups that are pushing the whole agenda of Edo Central. It's the turn of Edo Central. It's the turn of Edo Central. I remember we had the chairman of the PDP for Edo Central, one of the vice chairman of PDP in Edo State, joining us on the show, and I was very vocal about the agitation that, hey, you know what? Let Edo State, Edo Central do this. In fact, one of the candidates of the PDP joined me last week Monday in the situation room, and it was very clear. He's also from Edo Central, by the way. But aside for that, Matthew Okoto had just talked about the fact that the Godfather conversation, whether we like it or not, the presidential candidate may find his way to not play that openly, but the governorship candidates cannot hide from that reality. Now you are seeing Adams Oshiomhole meeting some of the aspirants. You're already seeing Governor Obaseki meeting some people behind doors. His deputy comrade Philip Shuaibu is also talking tough. Even before the Ondo State issue unfortunately got settled with the demise of Rotimi Akeredolu, Lucky Aiyedatiwa was in Abuja fighting for his political survival. And coincidentally, these two states share borders, and they would do their election a month apart from each other. Should we start looking at the process at which we select these candidates? This is what I mean. We've seen situations where people return from primaries and they come to spend money to buy and share things for their community and say, this is what I got from the primaries. Allegations of millions of naira being distributed to delegates. Because how would you explain former governors being on delegates list? How do you explain former party chairman? I remember there was a time where Barnabas Gemade was a delegate on the PDP primaries, the former chairman of the PDP. We've seen former governors, former senators, former reps members just need to be on the delegate seat. That doesn't look to me like it's motivation to develop the state. It looks like, let me just
it's always about being a delegate.
Let me to also do one or two things. Should we start looking at this conversation side forward? How do we go about that?
You know, generally, when we talk about electoral reforms, it starts with how candidates of political parties emerge, even before we talk about the conduct of elections in itself. And then we begin to now talk about the performance of INEC and all of that. You know, when you look at party structure in Nigeria, you understand what I'm trying to say. Political parties are just a vehicle for politicians to, get their aspirations, come to pass and all of that. The reality is that, look, the entire process is completely faulty. We operate a heavily gated democracy where you have to know somebody somewhere. You probably have to jump over the fence, crawl under it, break it down. And in doing all of that, you also have to have deep pocket. Over the week, a particular legislator, a House of Reps member, I think
said he spent
over 500 million naira. Not running the entire election,
defending the election.
So if that guy had spent over 500 million just to defend the election,
Reps member.
So just
Not
imagine.
governor.
Let us start from when he first declared his intention. Just imagine. And when you declare intention in Nigeria, we are looking at Mr. Aswe Ighodalo now, the PDP, declaring his intention to run for governorship in Edo State. That declaration is not going to come It's not a tea party.
The fact that it's live on a
On
national.
So look, those are even minor considerations when it comes to expenses. I'm talking about moving people there, mobilizing people to be at that event from the local level. Then I just saw Chief Tᴜɪ̀nᴛᴇ also, address that crowd. If you understand what I mean by bringing a Chief Tᴜɪ̀nᴇ to your declaration to make statements.
They don't go out in the afternoon.
The big masquerades don't just go out like that.
You don't wave hand at the chief.
Ordinary hand.
You must go close.
Then before you now even make your declarations, all those meetings, these stop
consultations,
interest
groups,
the market women, kinikon group. There are the people create groups, and then as you are sitting with each group and standing up, you don't stand just like that.
You must leave something on the seat.
You must drop something on the seat. So we operate a democracy that is heavily monetized.
Seriously.
Heavily monetized. And you can't monetize your electoral process and expect to produce it. You can't, unless you are just deceiving yourselves. Even though our electoral law talks about spending limits, it's a complete joke.
At what point does that spending limit
begins to count? Or how can you even monitor if anybody has overspent in an electoral process? So I think we just took the idea of spending limits from the US and other countries.
And it's not put in place
how to implement it completely.
Yes.
You understand? Because I keep saying it. For example, look at the US. You find that a lot of Republican presidential aspirants have dropped off the race because they were not able to raise enough monies. The monies are not their personal monies. In the US, they've structured it in a way where it is the people that fund your election.
Exactly.
It is the people.
And you must declare.
And you must show them every penny. So even if you are a multi-billionaire in dollars, you can't finance your own elections. So at that level, you already know whether the people are for you. If you are not able to raise enough money, then you already know that this election, and that is what is already happening with a lot of the candidates. They are already dropping off. Even Mike Pence had to drop off. He suspended his campaign because he's not able to raise enough monies and funds and support. So until we begin to look at, so when we talk about reforms, it has to be completely holistic. I always say it. There is a template. We have a document. We have the Justice Muhammadu Ways 2008 committee report that we can work with. It is there. They looked at all of these things. They looked at how we can demonetize our elections. They looked at the electoral process. They even looked at even the issue of delivering justice. In part of the recommendations, the presidential election is supposed to just be at the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Why do we have to? Okay, why does this presidential?
In some cases it's called constitutional court.
Just deal with it. Look at Kenya. That's it. In Kenya, it's just the Supreme Court, and they said that look, we must also conduct our election 6 months before so that
you
we
will
need
not
that
be on seat and you are.
Look, Opemi, we know how this thing works. You are the president already. Everything is at your beck and call.
True.
You are able to appropriate monies to the judiciary.
Yes.
You are able to do this with the security operatives. Look, that level of influence
is an undue advantage.
It will be difficult for a judicial pronouncement to be made against you. Let's be adults here. It will be extremely difficult to have judicial pronouncements. And that's why we have never seen any courts upturn a presidential election
in this part of the world.
In Nigeria. I think the only place we saw it in Africa was, I think, in Kenya.
Yes.
It's difficult. So when we talk, and that's why I keep looking at the minds of the politicians. When I listen to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and his associates talk about a coalition every time, I'm like, have we even gotten to the point of talking about a coalition? Can we first talk about getting it right with the electoral process? Because look, even if you go into a coalition, and you go into it with a very faulty electoral process, they will still be roundly defeated if you are not careful. So before we talk about people coming together, can we first make it an agenda that from start to finish, the electoral process, let us reform it completely. Dust the Justice Muhammadu Ways report up. Let's dust it and find a way to implement it. The last time, there was a committee to review that document under Buhari. They reviewed. They didn't implement. Why even during Jonathan, you remember what gave back to Justice Ways report? A president was sworn in. He was declared the winner of an election. And the late Yaruwa said that, look,
the process that brought me was not free and fair.
God forbid, Batty. This one should never repeat itself again. And he was such a honorable man. God rest his soul. To the point that he set up eminent Nigerians, led by former Justice Muhammadu Ways, to look at all our electoral process and make recommendations. He started in 2007
to make it better.
And so that we can The report was submitted. Unfortunately, Yar'Adua was not alive to implement it. Yar'Adua got the report. He tinkered with Jonathan got the report. Tinkered with it for 6 years. Dropped it aside. Muhammadu Buhari got it. 8 years, tinkered with it. Dropped it aside. The report is still there. Nobody is doing anything with it. Okpeyemi armed 7.
Exactly. Sorry, you remember what the EU monitoring group
said about elections.
The Electoral Act should be definite enough.
There are too many lacunas.
Too many provisions that you can interpret differently. It shouldn't be there.
No closure, nothing specific about what this is supposed to be.
Anything.
Okay, that was what happened even with the issue of IREV. You know, when IREV came as a condition for the election, everybody was excited until the court now told you that IREV is just like a viewing center when you're in the TV. It doesn't validate or invalidate any election.
It's not stadium.
They in the rule. It's just a viewing portal. It doesn't even have any meaning to what you did on election day. Yeah. And we kept telling people then that the voting process itself is still largely manual.
Yes.
If you check the words of the Electoral Act very well, and that was what happened. So until we fix all of these loopholes, I would have thought that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and the opposition should be more focused on those things.
On strengthening the electoral process.
They are not the coalition. You do coalition, they will defeat you.
That's why I said, what we have on ground now, you have coalition, except in a monetized electoral process. You may not say, okay, this coalition will raise
I'll spend you, and I'll spend you.
That might be your aim. But going by the process, the electoral law and the process we have right now, except something happens, even you have 26 parties merging together,
they'll defeat all of you together.
They'll beat you together.
And my fear with coalition again is this: build up to the 2015 election. We all knew that there were going to be cracks within the PDP. We started seeing the handwriting on the wall. Of course, the whole conversation around merger was also coming up between the CPC, the then ACN, a faction of ABGA. You know, people were wondering, like, if this happened. But the mindset prior 2015 election was different. It was basically anything but Jonathan. And then it played out. People just came together. Let's form the coalition. People that had... And I'm always careful of something. When I'm discussing Nigerian politics, I'm always very careful to put the word ideology in the same statement with the Nigerian political class. Because what I think ideology should be is not something you jump into overnight. It's something that is consciously
conceived
and deliberately
well
conceived and nurtured
and digested and nurtured.
So you understand it. It's just like somebody, maybe an insurgent or something, as someone that you've brainwashed them, you've hypnotized them and all of that. So what progress can we make? Because
you know when you talk about that,
I'm even coming. Some of us are quick to jump from one election to the other. It's 2023, 2027, 2031. Nobody cares what happened between February 2023 and maybe February 2026 or 2027. That is my bigger concern. So when people are talking of coalition, what is the ideology behind that coalition? Is it to wrestle power or to fix the old democratic process?
There's no ideology. And if there's ideology, it's just to wrestle power. You just want to be in power. I faulted heavily Bwala's argument about ideology. You know, he had a TV show in recently where he was trying to justify, his attempt to move to the APC, why he has suddenly now changed all of the conversations around supporting Atiku. Now he wants to support the president. And when I saw him on TV trying to justify jumping around,
He's a very, very intelligent
again, he was talking about the fact that, look, ideologies can change. When facts change, your opinion about something can suddenly change and all of that. You see, when it comes to political ideology, like you rightly said, it's not something that happens overnight. And he was talking about, Republicans sometimes even in the US move to the Democratic Party. And
he was contradicting.
The reality is that, look, yes, you might have one or two cases, but the instances are not enough to generalize.
No.
The average Republican in the US has binding ideologies that can never change. Generational. For example, the evangelicals have their own ideology that you can't suddenly change. There's no to abortion for them.
Yes.
There are things about...
there's no to same-sex marriage.
And those are things that you can't just wake up
and say you have changed.
And say you have changed.
No.
When it comes to the economy, they have their own, far-right thinking about lower taxes for the people, about how businesses should be run, about immigration. Those are things you don't suddenly just change because the president told you he has now cut down
traveling extra codes or the entourage.
There's a report in the Premium Times that have said that, look, the president announced the cut of his entourage and all of that. His visit to Imo, he violated that thing.
Straight away.
How many people follow the president to Imo?
We almost carried the whole of Abuja there.
And that's the same thing Buala is telling us as the reason now why he thinks, the APC is the way for him.
But I saw the entourage of the vice president to the World Economic Summit. It seems it aligns with the decision of
10 or 20?
There was a time we were saying 400.
Me, I'm telling you about the president's entourage. The people that followed him to Imo.
Okay, see.
Just a minute. So what we're saying is that, look, the issue of ideology, let's put it aside. We have not gotten to the point where political affiliations, political parties are guided by ideology in Nigeria. They are all waters of different ends. It's the same water, but you're coming from different you can come in from the south or the north. You are in the same water. Yeah. That's political parties in Nigeria for you.
So, Matthew Okodwa, now that we've established the fact that ideologies don't particularly fly, that's why somebody will say you can take breakfast in PDP, cross to the APC to take lunch, and enjoy a sumptuous dinner with Labour Party. Yeah. That's the typical mindset of a Nigerian. They'll say, my people, my constituents said I should decamp, I should migrate. In fact, it is one of the things that often makes me laugh the most. Maybe we need to really look back at electoral laws. We understand the freedom of association, interest. That's why you can move. It's okay. We'll come back to that. Now that we've established the fact that beyond election, the best way to sustain a democracy is to strengthen the indices of those democratic processes, the justice system. Everybody must feel like nobody must feel cheated in an electoral system. Even the electoral umpires must be supervised to be as unbiased as they can be, and that begins from the process of how the electoral umpires emerge themselves. What should be the priority now? We have a window period between now and the next presidential election. Of course, there will be off-cycle election all through, which also gives us an opportunity to try new things. We had an off-cycle election in November last year in 3 states. We're going to have in 2 states this year. We'll have in 2 states also next year. That means all year round till 2027 we'll have election. What should be our priorities now?
Unfortunately, even no matter the priority, the operators are going to be problems. We have not been able to differentiate between politicians and public servants. So all our institutions are politicized up to the level of even the security agencies, which is not supposed to be. And that is why we don't have strong institutions. The best thing we should have for anything is to have very strong institutions that are stronger than the individuals. So once you politicize everything, you politicize the judiciary, which means the politicians are operating the judiciary. They may not be judges, they may not be lawyers, but they have the politicians now, they have a way of influencing.
Senator Adamu Bokachua said it. We didn't tell him to say he said it.
So politicians are influencing the judiciary, politicians are influencing the security. Politicians, no, it shouldn't be. Leave politics for politicians, leave public service for public servants. But what we have now is everything politics. And as far as we have everything in politics, the politician will dominate. Reason is that the politician, we talk about ideology later, the ideology is let's loot, let me get rich. That is it. Until that's removed.
I've invested.
They are not patriotic enough. What is happening right now in Nigeria today? We only have a political class, not political parties. And this political class is like what do you have in football? You have the probables and the possibles. Yes. The same team. First 11.
You have starting 11 and reserve bench.
First team, probables. Second team, possibles. They spar. So the best out of them move to one side. That's what we have. So they are all the same thing, which is not supposed to be. So what we are now, look, politicians take over ANEC. ANEC is supposed to be a public service institution. Yes, not political institutions. But what you have is like politicians are being sponsored into INEC. So it's now a politics thing.
To play politics.
So we have to play our politics the way it should be played, so that the institutions will work. Tell the Nigerian man that policeman is there, say, I beg, forget that one. He's not afraid of the police institution. See, they will take you to court. You say, which court? I beg.
Let's go there.
Let's go there. So nobody is afraid of any institution. That is why things are like this. Take security, for instance. When, what's his name? The former President Buhari was there was this report that UAE
gave us a list,
yeah, brought a list of people who are sponsoring
terrorism in the country.
What happened to them? Nobody, because it was politicized. I mean, Buhari could have easily given that list to the police or to NIA, to whoever, and go home to sleep. Only for him tomorrow to hear, look, we have arrested John, we arrested Ben.
They are in court to facing prosecution.
That's how institutions work. Up to today, what happened to those people? And that is why insecurity will never stop until you remove the fingers of the sponsors. Just as you do magicians. They say if you want to clip magician's power, tie his hands. Because if he doesn't use hand to say like this, nothing
will happen.
Nothing will happen. Say tie his hand or you cut it.
Because the hand is the magic.
The hand is the magic, conjure the magic. These sponsors, they are the people that sponsor the insecurity. Until you remove them, they do not stop. They keep recruiting. So there's nothing we can do that to strengthen institutions and reduce the level of politicizing of institutions. Then we will work.
Interesting conversation we're having on Midweek Politics, live on Mainland 98.3 FM. And of course, I have Matthew Okodo and sᴏᴜ joining me in the studio today. I'm seeing your comment on Facebook already. You can also go on YouTube, of course, Mainland 983 on YouTube, and drop your comments. We'll open the phone lines very soon. 09136000410. Well, the phone line does not close. So since the conversation started, the calls have been coming in. But we'll certainly pick your calls very soon. And in case you're trying to reach us, and maybe there's so many people wanting to do the same, you can go on Facebook and drop your comments. We'll read them, but don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms as well. We've looked at a lot of things on the show today. We've looked at the unfortunate incident that happened yesterday in Oyo State. We're still waiting for more update on the reports that are coming in. But the governor of the state, His Excellency Governor Seyi Makinde, had come out to say that is a stored up explosive somewhere in residential area. I just hope that whoever is responsible for that would be fished out and prosecuted, to send the message to whoever is also indulging in such, because it doesn't look like that's the only person where such is being stored in the state. And it's very unusual. I'm sure a lot of people don't even think there are natural resources in some states down south. Somebody was saying yesterday, one of the groups, Lagos, nothing like that can happen. And I said there was a time there were issues with Lagos state government and federal government in respect to when excavation was being done on the island in terms of who owns the sand that is being pulled out of the land that is being
even the water bodies too.
The water bodies too. So, I mean, I think the government just needs to be intentional about fixing these countries, as simple as that. And then, I think one issue that are shaping the conversation on the show today is the fact that we have people in government, but we don't have government, and that's the simple truth. I will open that conversation up a little bit. 09136000410. We get to do this every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. Although we don't always have the privilege of Matthew Okodo joining us every day. We just hijacked him today, to be on the show. And we've also talked about the off-circuit election in Edo State. The APC have decided to do an open primaries. Direct open, and that's very simple. There's no
just queue behind it.
Just put poster of the candidate and queue behind him. His head count. 10,000 people in one local government, 2,000 people in Akoko Edo local government. It's very simple. We saw it played out in Ekiti State, and there were no litigations in respect to that election, whether from other political parties or even from within the APC.
I think APC
themselves.
did it in Osun State.
Yeah, they did it in Osun also.
Even in Lagos.
Yes, direct primaries. So it's very simple, and then that's how we see that maybe 100,000 people voted for one candidate, and it's very clear. Like the delegates were. How that one happens, because somebody even said one of the advantage of the fact that how many people do you want to give money to?
Exactly.
Unlike the delegate where you can envelope one naira and maybe give this person. When you see like 100,000 people queuing in one local government,
do 100,000 people really come out to queue in private primaries?
Well,
that's the question.
It's not all voters, though.
I know. The registered members of the party. That's it.
Look, it is supposed to be a head count of people who appear and queue up behind their aspirant.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that if you look at the results, the tally of the real governorship election, as against what you get sometimes when party primaries, you begin to ask yourself, how did they get the numbers?
What happened?
You see stations where the numbers of the voters in direct primaries that are supposed to be exclusive for party members
alone is more than the entire. How many people voted in the election in Osun and Ekiti?
Okay, you can join the conversation 0913-600-0410. We'll also take your comment on our social media platforms, facebook.com/mainland 98.3 FM, and of course on Facebook, on YouTube, mainland 983, on Instagram, mainland 98.3, and on X, mainland 983. Smile on Facebook says, "Good afternoon, mainland FM. Please let's deviate a little bit. I want to know if we have a minister of power, because the electricity issue in Nigeria now is even worse. What exactly is going on?" Okay, James Tᴜɪ̀ᴜnᴜ on Facebook says, "Good afternoon, gentlemen in the studio. I celebrate you guys essentially. Like I told Sandra in the big talk when we need to prove the IEDs, if they were manufactured there or transported to that place. And how come there was no stop and search on the road all through the journey if they were transported? We may be living with these things around us without knowing." On Kano Politics, I watched the interview with Galadima shortly after the political roundtable, and I think I agreed with some things he said. He said that some weighty allegations like electoral officers being offered 1 million naira to deliver to the APC. He indicted the tribunal and the appeal court for corruption. I don't think such a man like him would come on national TV to make such allegations without fact. Gentlemen, if we probe the judgment of the other state and indeed the election last year, are we sure we did not discover many damning information? James Ogbonna, presently at the Ghana newspaper premises. Thank you very much. James Ogbonna, a very key question or observation was actually raised there. Galadima swore by the Holy Quran multiple times. And
He did swear. He said he would swear.
okay. Either ways. He's a religious person.
You know why?
I'm coming side for it. What I'm even going to is that beyond that line of conviction to prove that is actually
that
being
is
correct.
For him to even mention the Quran,
So
yeah, for even mentioning
the Quran in the first place, yeah.
and
he's ready for anything.
I've watched, if my memory don't fail me, I've watched Alhaji Buba Galadima's interview more than 300 times.
He's
on
always
different
on
conversations.
He's available, yeah.
He's always available. If these allegations are to be taken seriously, or should these allegations be taken seriously in a sane society, should he not be invited to validate some of these allegations that are quite weighty? He was specific. He said is a former senator that is now a chieftain of the APC
Told him they didn't get more than 200,000 votes.
that they didn't get up to that.
You're talking of inviting. Who invited Bukachua?
You know, because again, what Alhaji Galadima said, for me, is not as indicting as what Senator Adamu Bukachua said.
So nobody invited Bukachua
About the appeal court and when his wife was the president of the appeal court.
That he helped some people.
And it's not just, again, when it comes to Buba Galadima, always on TV, radio, talking, you know, again, he's someone that also is a bit inconsistent. You know, today he's saying one thing, tomorrow he's saying something else. But we can't completely fault what he has said, those weighty allegations on what happened in Kano and what the Supreme Court has said. But again, you also had a lot of the governors who got their victory at the Supreme Court also say things that are a bit indicting on the judiciary. For example, if the governor of Kano State was saying that, look, he's thanking the president for refusing to bow to pressure of his party and the chairman of his party to interfere with the judgment of the Supreme Court. What does that mean, Okwemi? The same thing was said in Plateau State, and most of the governors who had their elections, validated by the Supreme Court. You know, so whether we like it or not, Okwemi, and that's why I keep saying that I'm surprised that the only thing for now that I've heard from the Atiku camp and Alhaji Atiku himself is about a coalition. I think he's missing it. We are not yet in the period where we should be talking about a coalition, but a complete reform of the entire electoral process.
That's very correct. That is the next thing
that he should be talking about. That I won't go into a context with what we have. And that's why I say, look, come with 100 people to form a coalition. With what we have, it's possible that they will be roundly or they will be completely defeated.
Because it's the same process.
It's the same process.
Complaining you were rigged from.
Yeah, and you still want to but you want more people to come into that murky water of political rascality. No, it's just going to be a waste of time.
That one is waiting. Political rascality. Yeah. Well, you can join the conversation. 0913-600-0410. trying to pick your calls, and they're just running into each other. But I just keep
They
trying.
should calm down.
They should just calm down. Just calm down. If your calls are not coming in, wait for another person. Okay, we have messages as well. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good to hear Mr. Okodua again. I've not heard him for a long time. Okay, thank you very much. He said, on the issue of the Oyo State explosion, the governor had been quick to address the press. He should be asked vital questions. Whoever is in charge of the security of the state, like the commissioner of police, should also be charged and should also be asked and charged. May Nigeria not happen to us again. Thank you. My name is Festus from Ikorodu. Okay, thank you very much, Festus from Ikorodu. Still reading your message. This one says, Lagos is not safe. If what happened in Ibadan had happened in Lagos, the casualties will be more. Let Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu start checking the congested areas in the state, so that whatever it is that is being hidden anywhere will be found out. Okay, my name is Femi from Bagara. Thank you very much.
And that's why, the governor for your state says something. If you see something, say something. And that's why at community level too, we should not keep quiet. When we see things that, because again, that amount of dynamite, if it is truly dynamite, will not have been moved into that environment without people seeing it.
Somebody would have seen it.
Because they said that particular place, that ground zero where that thing happens, there is a deep hole there now. That's to tell you the
strength of that.
And people said 30, 20 kilometers away, they felt the impact. So how did people move that kind of explosive without people seeing it? So I think that while we are hoping that the government would also always be ahead of things like this, we as a people to have a role to play.
And again, just as I was saying, but then the counter argument is, for instance, you see a man always carrying gun into his house.
Yes.
And you call the police. You're surprised that the next day the man knows who called police.
And that's also another thing we need to look at again, where people are afraid to now give out information.
Give information.
Because again, when you talk about secured nations, they work with information. People are ready to talk. Every time they are talking.
Look at UK, look at US.
They will talk.
If you see a man strolling aimlessly, you call police.
They will just, the numbers are very active.
You call the police.
If you are a stranger and they see you 1 or 2 times, they say, look, we have a stranger around.
You are walking and looking at various houses. Which number this, and
before you know, the police is stopping you.
Taking pictures unnecessarily, they call you.
They are trained to give out information because they know the authorities will do the right thing.
Do the right thing, but not report you to the person.
I think that's one conversation we've had, at a couple of platforms on this station. The trust that people have with letting out information.
Yes.
Because we've seen situations where you report someone that is doing something, the person get arrested or invited, and then the person get released, and then the person will come and attack you, come and meet you, and
so you reported me.
So I mean, there's just a lot of compromise in places where compromise should not even be discussed at all. So the rules are just unfortunately bad. Well, I think whatever
if you
is
look
bad.
at the security situation in Abuja, for instance, people carry lists. The kidnappers carry lists. I enter estates. Who is Okoyemi? Come out. Go to the next house. Who is this? Do you think they got that residential address
by chance? I guess
somebody supplied it now. So there's a whole lot to do.
Okay, let's pick the call. 09136000410. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Okoyemi.
Good to have you join us on the show. Your name and where you calling from?
Okoyemi, I don't want to mention my name, but I think you could recognize my voice. I have an information for you.
Okay.
Go to the Ikeja local government, the NIS center. Go and see what is going on there. Please. At least you pay to get your NIN is 5,000 naira. Go there. I've been there. So if you say, when we say something, we say something. In most cases, when we say it, nothing happens. Remember, I told you a particular policewoman.
Yes.
By Press Cinema. The woman is still there. He's still perpetrating the act till today. If you are coming from Abattoir going to Agege, there is a police station bond. The bond police station doing NSAP. The police station has not been rebuilt, but at least there are 10 shops within that police station. Who are the landlords of that place? Who gave those shops out? We are wicked people in Nigeria. That's just my submission. Not only our leaders and not only our politicians, even we, the followers too, we are wicked. That's just my submission.
Thank you.
On the issue of the NIN, I don't have to hide my identity. The Tğᴇ NIN office, the NCDC office, their system is not always working. There's never internet.
Never works.
But you know what? You get there, you want to do your NIN, their system is never working. The crowd is there. But they'll now tell you, oh, our system is down. Go to the back of the office. You pay 5,000-7,000 and you get it thing done. So it's a racket. It's a serious racket going on there.
Serious one.
At the Tğᴇ local government.
He said local government. I'm talking about even the NIN office in Alausa there. You know. Maybe he wanted to say that way. I don't know whether they are doing it at the LG. But the one I know is that one.
I'm sure it probably won't even be happening in one place. So
yes,
it could be.
But that NIN office, the system is never working. It will not work. But you go outside immediately.
The system will work
immediately. Let's say.
And then you eventually find out that the people that owns the system that is working outside are the one in charge of the system.
How is their own working? The office is not
the same portal. Okay, more calls. Hello, good afternoon.
I'm not talking about Alausa. I'm talking Ikeja local government.
Okay. So that means that's another point. I'm talking about Alausa.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sure this person will join us much later on the situation, and then we'll know who the person is. Okay, let me read more messages. I'm seeing the beep notification for the calls, but it looks like there are a lot of congestion here. So let's read some of the messages while we wait for your calls to come in. This one says, Okay, good afternoon, Mainland FM. Thank you for this program. I missed it last week, and I said I was not going to miss it today. My name is Olaiwola. I'm a fabricator from Okota. What we saw about the Ibadan situation is not dynamite. They are bombs. Okay. I'm not going to read the other part of the message, but thank you very much. Quite a few, things that is probably not suitable for public consumption on this one, but thank you very much. That's a good one there. Okay, let's go back to how this conversation started. Security, and there are a lot of concerns now being raised on the safety of the resident of the FCT, which is the seat of power. If the city that houses the president, the National Assembly of the 109 senators, 360 reps members, literally the seat of power in Africa's largest economy, is under this level of siege where people are being picked up on names, on recognitions. How do I feel safe if I'm in Ebonyi? How do I feel safe if I'm in Ogeremo in Ogun State? How do I feel safe if I'm in Tunawada in Kano? Are we playing with fire with the security issues that is happening in Abuja? Yesterday, the FCT minister had a meeting with all of the security apparatus in the city. The president also met with the service chiefs again for maybe like the 10th.
You see, I think what's the best way for me is for the FCT minister to start living in Buhari, like the outskirts of Abuja.
So move his office there.
Then he will move his security apparatus there.
The man is interested in Fubara.
In Rivers?
That's what it is. That's the business. You see, if there is no practical, we are no more. Who is looking for meetings now? Who is looking for statements? We are not looking for meetings and statements. We are looking for actions. What have you done to be able to stem the tide of kidnapping in that place? You have done nothing. You keep meeting. When I heard him last night saying, "Oh, tell the residents to feel free," blah blah blah. I said, look, this your statement cannot hold water. What holds water is you have this in the ground. We have this mechanized brigade. We have that mechanized brigade. We have this. We have this. Police squadron is there and all that. People will not say they are here. You know, if you know those, if you know, I don't know if you know Buhari and the rest of them. They are like in Lagos. We call them
outskirts places.
New towns.
New towns, yeah.
You know, they're like new towns. You get it now. FCT is spreading to all those new towns, right from Buhari, that is from Kogi end, to Abaji and the rest of them. You know, these are new towns. So many plots of land that have not been developed. Unused spaces. So you have to do that. Then two, if you get to Abuja, you're going to see remnants of security cameras. As you try to run out, to reel out the people that live in Abuja, how important they are. But let me tell you, there's no camera in Abuja. No CCTV camera that is working. Go there, you're going to see a stump of camera poles or a broken camera stand, or even a camera itself that will not work. So you can just go to FCT and do anything and work. You are looking for eyewitness, you will not see. Whereas those cameras, look, from Obasanjo to Jonathan to Yar'Adua to Jonathan to Buhari now to Tinubu, nobody has thought about city security. There's a difference between city security and general security. City security, a policeman doesn't need to be at every point, but cameras should be at every point. So when they bring you, say, you did this, argue that you did it. Who saw me? And I saw you. A camera saw you. We're looking at things that will make people to be frightened before they take action. But it's not there. Nobody's frightened in FCT to take action. You're just frightened because of God. Those who don't do bad things are just doing it on religious ground. Oh, you do this, go to hell. That's just what is holding people. But those who don't even think of hell or heaven, they do anything and go away. When I was in Abuja how many months ago, I was right from the hotel coming down. So I was saying, yay, what shouting, what happened? They just collected the 130,000 in his pocket. Right on broad that daylight. 8 a.m. waiting. He was going to market. But I asked him, why did you have to collect 180? What's the problem? And if you have a cash line, why don't you take a drop? Hey, FCT is full of these small, what do you call them now? One chance.
Yeah.
They're all over the place because nothing happened. Arrest one chance into police station now. Say, okay, tomorrow come back. By the time I come back, you meet him there. He's gone. These are the things that need to be checked.
When Pantami said the security operatives are not using NIN, I like, what are we saying again?
You told us that you introduced NIN
because of this thing, to check,
things.
Kidnappings and all of that. You can't use a SIM. Every SIM has to be registered. And these guys are making calls. They are making demands
with SIMs.
And then ransoms are being paid. So what's the essence of NIN, the BVN, and everything? So if Pantami is saying that, look, they are not working with what we gave them with the NIN, then we should ask ourselves, the most secure nations of the world, you don't have to see physical policemen. That's not what you see. But you commit a crime.
And see.
You know that there's security. You just try something. 2-3 minutes, you know that there's security. So it's not about the physical thing. It's not about the number of policemen, AK-47 everywhere. No. We have to be ahead of the criminals when it comes to intelligence gathering. And technology too. Technology has a way of making nations extremely secured. Where are the cameras? Even in Lagos here, where are the cameras?
You can't bribe technology.
That is it now.
If you get
it has seen you. That's the end.
And records you.
So
let's talk to the people. Okay, I think we lost that call. I'll try and call back 0913-600-0410 on Facebook. Patrick Obiazo says, is there really democracy in Nigeria? A country where 85% of the population are legally illiterate, are largely illiterate rather, and impoverished and prone to manipulations, while the 10% middle class hardly find time to actually participate in the electoral process. Leaving the rest 5% selfish and exploitative business and political class to gather and determine how the country is being governed, with looting of our common patrimony as the end game. Which way, Nigeria? Thank you very much, Patrick Obiazo. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good to have you join us on the show today.
Yeah, my name is David.
I didn't get your name.
My name is David.
Okay, David from where?
From Yanapaja.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what happened in Ibadan, I pray that we will not have what is going on in the north here in Ibadan. Because something like that happened, that they tried to happen I think Monia sometimes ago. So probably, I don't pray for that. And I don't think it will be like something that somebody wants to revenge, because for over many years, we never heard of any bomb or dynamite in Ibadan. This is the first time. The security and the government must do their very diligent search very well. But even for government to come out very
quickly,
it means seems they are trying to cover up something that they don't want to make people to be fair. And concerning our politicians, I believe Nigeria are doing, they are like doing something of a regime. The regime of military in politicians is gone. Now we now have the regime of those people who have been trying to chase away military in our politics for years, like all this by Padeco and other things like that they are trying to fight the military to out of the election. They are the ones who now take over Nigerian politics now. They have their own agenda, they have their own plans. They are like people want to build a lot of a lot of industry and companies so that Nigerians can be paying tax through them. They are like all these Rockefellers of Americans and those people that try to rule over their people. So I think that's the regime. And there's nothing like policies or policy or law or any other thing on our Nigerian policy. What we have is regime. So when this regime, we don't know what will be, when this regime will expire. But I think that's what we are going now in this country.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. David. I really hope so too, because each time I refresh and I see the effect of the Bado explosion, I just told myself that, hey, this should not come close to Lagos. But unfortunately, Ibadan is just right under our nose here, so people migrate as easily, as quick as things can change. So it's a call for the Lagos state government to start asking.
Even if they are illegal miners, how did they get to the point where they brought in that amount of explosives?
Yes. What are they using it for?
Into the city center, not the outskirts or one obscure isolated area.
But the fact is that you don't use dynamite. It depends on the kind of money. Anyway.
We don't even know what they're mining.
Except if it's a quarry, yes.
Yeah.
Do you have so much big rocks in Oyo? In the Bado?
Where in Oyo State? Unless we are talking about the sayings and all.
Yes.
Because even at that,
it's not the same. You have rocks. So when you are
why
doing
would you not even keep your
dynamite in your
on the side?
Why in the middle of
why in your house? Why in your house?
And that's why people are still speculating and asking questions that well, maybe the governor wanted to just douse tension.
I guess so.
But dousing tension will not raise further questions.
And that's the question we're asking.
Okay, 0913-600-0410 is the midweek politics live on Mainland 98.3 FM. Matthew Okuda joins us on the show today. Tᴜɪᴛᴛᴇʀ and I does this every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. on your Super Dial Radio, Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. And then we get to talk about politics, we get to talk about policies of government, we get to talk about those things that affect us, core politics, the ones you just don't go over the surface. We dig it a bit down. Okay, let me pick more calls. We'll come back to the conversation. Hello, good evening, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Okoye and Faz and Okodwa.
Thank you. Your name, where are you calling from?
I'm Okusno from gas line of Matogo.
Okay.
If you regard to the allegation, allusion, are we full in Nigeria? That is telling us it's smile is this. No! It's terrorist action. I just watched the clip in television now. You cannot deceive me. I don't know if you deceive me by the studio there.
It's not deceive you.
Just got to direct election in Edo State.
For APC.
Yes, what happened in Lagos during Ambode is the type they want to do there, whereby the talks will tell you if you are not voting for so person, if it's John that is on the one John to be voted, that is only people that will go and vote for John and queue up. If you say for Ambode, then they say no, you cannot go and queue up. That's what happened in Lagos. I witnessed it live under APC then. In Kano and Plateau State, it's RNG, judiciary, whatever. Supreme Court is RNG. Kano is like gas line, petrol station that any trigger, it will flame to up and democracy will go over in Nigeria. That is why they allow that thing to sleeping dog to lie. In Plateau State, the same because of the killing that happened in December, during Christmas issue. So there is tension already there. So all these are judiciary from is RNG, we know. We are not forced in Nigeria now with our intellectual reasons. Let me allow people to go on and let me hear that.
Thank you, Mr. Snow.
Thank you very much. But Mr. Snow, I don't know anything.
Erico coming.
No, just
Okay,
go
now,
on.
for the issue of Edo State,
Yes.
well, let me say, for the issue of direct primary,
Yeah.
what probably would have happened is there are so many big wigs and there are small wigs.
And their interest.
Big wigs and...
Let me hold your thoughts.
Okay.
Master Kodo, let me pick this call. Hello, good afternoon. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Okay, try and call us back. We've been having all of these issues, but just keep trying. And in case your calls are not coming in, drop your messages or you drop your comment on our social media platforms. I will read them. Please go on.
Yes, you have the Yamus, you have the architect Onole Memens, and some few other well-known politicians. Of course, there is this other man.
Sumbo is also on the list.
Professor Sumbo.
Professor Sumbo
is also on the list. So it's difficult for, I think, for the party central working committee to ask. I don't know how they're going to do it, to ask
this one
Professor Sumbo to step
down. There can't be any consensus. So there are about 20-something aspirants on the platform of the APC.
I saw the list the other day. I shook my head. My friend is there, the one from Nollywood. What's his name now? Obaze. You know, and Afeboa is there.
Yeah, Afeboa.
Afeboa is, you know, the man has mouth. The man can talk.
And by the way, the one-time NBA chairman,
that's Labour.
Is a candidate of the Labour.
He's an aspirant.
So I'm talking of the APC now.
Let me pick this call real quick. If you're lucky with this one. Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Okay, can you hear me now? Hello. Hello. Okay. On Facebook, Shegun David Emmanuel says, good afternoon to everyone in the studio. You're doing great. Nigeria has become a joke. Everyone praising the president for not interfering with the judgment of the judiciary, a co-equal arm of government. Should the president have set the courts in judgment in the first place? We have enthroned mediocrity and sacrificed our sanity in Nigeria. May God deliver us in this country. Let's try the phone lines again. Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Yeah, hello. I can hear you. Can you hear us too?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yes, please let me remain anonymous.
Okay.
I want to talk about my greeting to my brother there, Okojo. I'm sure he's from Edo.
Thank you. Well done.
Yeah, remember, I want to talk about what transpired during, if you will recall, about Professor Sumbo. Then, I don't want to mention names. I'm one of the henchmen of the Edo politics. I wrote the our governor, those who can remember. We knew what happened, that Oshomole had to fight to get his mandate. I was the house closed there when Baba Obasanjo flew into Mote Beni Plaza. When he was told that, I don't want to say most of this is on air. I have to say that Oshomole is leading. They wanted now, which is the slogan going on, wants Irsᴛ to be the next governor. Counted, okay, our brother Lucky, named them Ambrose Adeton and so forth then. So they had to they had to fly down to the name. So the INEC then, or you see what it was not INEC then, what's the name? So we know, we in Edo State, we know send. Mr. Pe, you might be used to my voice. I used to be with the defunct Daily Times before, going further into all these jingles and so on and so forth. The politics in Edo, just like you earlier said, is of recent that people are beginning to consider some of this. But we want the best. But some of our persons, or my persons that got in there, for their own hands. I don't want to mention names. But thank God some of them, Obaseki is trying now. And Shomole tried his own time. But I still strongly believe, let's give it to the Asian Center, what it does, any man from the Asian area.
Edo Central.
Yes, Edo Central. So that's much how we said, because you see, when the current president came to Benin, we told him Edo no be Lagos, and it turned out to be so. It turned out to be so.
Thank
Probably
you.
see the licking their wound. He'll be careful when he's dealing with a Edo man or a Benin man.
Thank you very
Then,
much.
Mr. Ope, please, I called yesterday. I don't want to complain over that. So if you can put me off air, I will get your number. There's something very important I want to chat with you, please.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. Thank you very
Can I
much.
give you...
I'll try and reach out. I'll try and see if the technical guys can help me
Get your number.
trace your number. I would certainly try and reach out. 09136000410. It's been an amazing afternoon of political conversation on the show. And then we get to do this every Wednesdays from 1 to 3 p.m. Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that my road from Okearo is from Shaga. We don't have road. Mr. Foa was saying last week, we don't have road. The governor, the governor,
Okay.
please, I'm begging on my knee.
That should be tomorrow.
Okay.
That boy.
Okay. Thank you very much. They're already sending you a message ahead of tomorrow.
Ogun State people.
Sometimes you think some of these neighboring states should just be ceded to the more bigger states.
To come Lagos.
If you look at what is happening at Obafemi, the local government that has Magboro, Mowe, all those axes, it's almost like the governor that Abiodun affair. You people are staying in Lagos. You pay your tax in Lagos. Let Lagos come and develop that particular axis. More calls coming in. Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, I'm really struggling to hear you, but if you can, I hope you can call back. Hello, good afternoon. Hello? Okay, I'll try and call us back. It's been a tug of war with the phone line, but we keep trying. Don't give up. Hello, good afternoon. Hello?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, good afternoon.
This Danladi Sunday
Okay, Danladi from where?
from Jordan in
Okay, please put down the volume on your radio set. Or you turn it off completely.
Okay, I've done that.
Okay, Mr. Danladi, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir. The case of Ibadan. I want to let you people know that thing happened here. It is not any diamond. That is Boko Haram work. Because that is how it started when I was in Borno State. And it's still coming down to the west. So I want the governor and the security agent there to keep eye on the ground. If not, it will still reach the whole West. Please. That is my contribution.
Okay, Mr. Danladi, thank you very much. Now, I really... Okay, let me pick these calls. They will come back to... Maybe you have an idea of what I want to say, actually. Hello, good afternoon. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Okay, try and call us back. Unfortunately, the phone lines are just, jamming into each other. Side forward.
Yes.
In ones and in twos, even if we don't want to probably push this conversation out there, it seems there's fear in the minds of the people in respect to the true situation of what happened in Oyo State yesterday.
Can you blame them?
You can't blame them.
We'll come to that. Let's try to connect to this caller. Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Hello? Hello? Okay, Mr. Laiwola, can you hear me now? Okay, it's a lot of issues there. Hopefully this one will come through. Hello, good afternoon. Hello? Hello? Okay. Maybe we'll try and make you reach out to us again. Hello, can you hear me, Mr. Laiwola?
I am hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah. When the president wants to select the Minister of Defense, he select a former two governor that he don't have a military background. How they are going to minister to all the defense and security agency within the country? If you want to select a Minister of Defense, that area are so very essential to the nation. You cannot just select a civil person to come ahead of the military formation of the federation. It's not easy. Let him go back to that appointment and look at the people that are serving for more than 35 years in service, and look at their intelligence and look at their background, so we can be able to fix all this insecurity. What happened in Badalona yesterday? Nobody give us the proper information about it. Other one is happen in the bush, happen on government area within the country. And the people that you are saying to help these people, they didn't have any information, and they didn't have been to a war front or managing any conflict within the organization, within the nation. How can just be a governor? Can the person be a governor? Can be a minister of defense? These are the questions here. Let him go and check in the appointment that he's making through the minister of defense. Let him go and check it very well before you come back, so we know how to fix the nation. We as a president, you don't have any background of any military background. Now he's selecting other people that are not having a military. Who is going to give him the proper information? And who is going to minister all this to defense? That's my question this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Bello Metawalle, the immediate past governor of Zamfara State, literally struggled through his 4 years.
Zamfara State.
And he's not the Minister of State.
Nothing to contribute to defense.
And he's the Minister of State for Defense.
Even the Minister of Defense.
Even the Minister of Defense himself.
Those are what we call
square pegs around
holes. They don't know anything.
Which round hole is that?
Now,
square peg is no
hole. When even the president made the appointment of the NSA, Joseph Folonsho pointed out something. He said, look, it's even a wrong choice to get...
Sorry.
Okay.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, my name is James. James Ogbonna.
James Ogbonna, okay, yes.
Yes. Let me say that I was watching the Edo PDP
flag off
primaries.
That's where Godali. Yeah, we watched it. We saw it. We saw it.
Yeah, you guys are following it, right?
Yes.
So I'm looking at the deputy governor because from all indication it seems as if Mr. Igbalo is likely to become the PDP aspirant. So what does Mr. Felix Rival, what state right now? Because if he skimmed out of the PDP ticket, what happens to him? Because I don't think he will have to go to the APC now. Because the APC is already having a direct primary for themselves. So I don't know what you guys see about that for the deputy governor of Edo State. Where does this take politically now? That's my question.
Okay, thank you very much. Philip Shuaibu
we have a team political